Caron, love the last name, man. My last name is Butler too. We blessed, baby.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, man, Rhett Butler. First and foremost, shot clock. I love what I'm seeing thus far. I love the summation. I haven't read a lot of it, but I did read the pieces that were online from the retailers and your publisher. But I love the fact that not only is it a coming of age story, you're teaching people other positions in the business to aspire to. I'm assuming that's what might have been the impetus. But before we get into all that, can you just talk about how you came to doing this story and what made you want to do a story like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that probably a couple years ago, after I did my biography, Tough Juice, My Journey from the Streets to the NBA, I had more ideas and more stories in my head. And I had a program by the name of Butler Elite in Racine, Wisconsin, which is how the whole idea of Oasis Springs and the players of Oasis Springs, because it's pretty much the parallel of, Racine and the Butler Elite program. But some of the young people that I dealt with and their stories and their narratives and the situations that they was dealing with, from hope to belief to love to trauma to the losses, everything that they was going through. Their stories wasn't being talked about. Their triumphs wasn't being celebrated. And I wanted to just obviously move the needle in that process and telling their stories, and, creating, more characters and telling stories that can really impact, lives of, people from all walks of life. Because I looked at, some of the books that I read, and, I was obviously forced to read, growing up, from, Outsiders to Great Gatsby and How to Kill a Mockingbird, things that was part of the core curriculum. But I think about the stories now, kids are looking for something that they can relate to and connect to. And I wanted to create some of those things.
Absolutely. No, it's a great thing and very much needed. I love the fact that Dante is the hooper everybody wants to be, right? He's winning chips, he's doing it big. And then you have Tony, who's watching this and wants to go down that path. But when he realizes he's not going to go down that path for whatever reason, another opportunity arises. Can you just talk about the fact that this seems to be opening the door for people to think about basketball or sports in general in a whole nother fashion, and not just the guys that are the stars, quote unquote?
Yeah, well, I think that there's so many things and so many lanes that you can go down when you think about sports. One of the things that, the great John Thompson told me when he came in my house and he was recruiting me is, what are you going to do when the air go off the ball? That's why the University of Georgetown provides, or, pride themselves on making sure that all their collegiate athletes graduate. And he was, coming in, not buying it or trying to sell me on something specifically. But the one thing that he did, tell me the truth about is their graduation rate. So when you think about, utilizing your skill or your niche to create a better life for yourself, I was thinking about these characters and that we created. And Dante is the blue chipper. He is the gifted athlete, but it's other folks that could do many things. And, Tony ended up going to being a statistician. Like, who does that? But we had that for real happening in our program, where kids was like fighting over the chance to deal with numbers. And that's a reality now, but that's something that's a narrative that people don't talk about much. And I wanted to, share that, because, that's huge. And you can go through college being great with numbers. And in order to survive in life, and in order to be a, hundredaire, thousandaire, eventually a millionaire, billionaire, like, you got to be able to deal with numbers, and all those things are important. So we told we gave that visual from that standpoint through the story.
I love it. Was the statistician the first thing that came to mind in relation to an alternative career path in sports, or were there other ones that you were thinking about, but statistician just made the most sense in relation to the ability to have numbers as your guide?
That you know what, it was the first thing I thought about was so crazy. Like, I thought he was going to be like, okay, he can be a water boy. He was like, that's
why did I know you were about to say water boy?
Yeah. It was like, that's so typical. Like, I was like, well, he could be gifted in other things too. And they was like, you know what?
Right.
No one ever talk about someone that keeps stats, that's great with numbers, that eventually excels in school and in the classroom because of his work connected to the game of basketball, because he's dealing with numbers. And then he's so organized and things like that, and it leads to other things, obviously going down the path in the next books. But it's like that was just like, it was perfect. It was a perfect segue into the next stories.
Yeah, and that was my next question. So this is planned to be a series?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And what's the age range for the readership? I know anybody can read it, obviously, but who you targeting?
Mid-grade, so I'm starting at anywhere from fifth graders
Nice.
on out. So it's impactful. It touches all.
It's interesting, especially the fact that he chose numbers. And also, obviously, I know you clearly are a business savant, got a bunch of businesses, and you're doing really well in that sector outside of basketball. LeBron James is not a first actively playing billionaire. Is this something you could have ever imagined? And do you think that's an anomaly? Or do you think this is just the first coming of something that's going to now be a trend in basketball?
I think it's going to be a trend now in basketball, because you got to think about the cap. The cap is going up in 2024. I'm sorry, 2023 summer. So it's like, okay, guys are making 20, 30, $40 million a year now. And, when you think about longevity in that space, someone could play 11 years in the game of basketball and make it the upwards of, $350 to $400 million. Now, if you invest that, that's guaranteed money now. That's not like, I got the contract, but I got 8% of it. And no, this is guaranteed money. So if you're investing that wisely, through a recession or whatever the case may be, like the interest off, $100 and some million, invested properly, just imagine what the magnitude of that would be in, 10 years. So it's like, you're going to see a lot of, half ability to billionaire athletes in the very, very near future.
Very cool. It's interesting. So what do you think about with the NIL deals? Kids coming to the league now already in a better financial state, their parents probably getting used to that as well, based on what they delivered at a younger age. Do you think that gives them less desire to want to get a chip if they get into the league?
I think, winning is in you, not on you. I think that some people are just wired to, eventually, like it's normal. Like I know now we're talking about the numbers differently, but when you think about the kids that's looking up to, like we looked up to Michael Jordan, like obviously he was making, $30 million a year and stuff, but we still, like, the legacy of Jordan is so special because every time he got to the finals, he hosted up a trophy and he had the MVP. So it's like, I want to do that. Obviously you want the lifestyle and everything that's come with it, but you know that you have to win to obtain those things. And I think that, players, LeBron, he got 4, Steph Curry got 4, like, they're seeing the greatness through championships still, and they're being celebrated because of their winning. Obviously, they're winning off the court as well, but they're being celebrated more because they're champions. And I think, kids are still want to, aspire to be that.
It's a beautiful thing. Do you ever look back on your college life and be like, damn, why didn't y'all bring me the check? I'm like, I waited for this.
Yeah, you know what? I'm like, it's due time. Like we all have to, like, like perspective for me is, like, my grandmother is from Columbus, Mississippi, and the sacrifices that she made working on the cotton fields, doing stuff like that, and then migrating north to Wisconsin, and then eventually we going through all the things from WIC, the welfare, the government cheese, powdered milk, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden her grandson is a millionaire. Like, so the sacrifices and the generation of prayers from my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, everything, and it hit me, you know what I mean? And I was like the person to change the generation curse that we was dealing with for years of poverty. So it's like, we've took the hit and we told our truth, and we talked about the importance of, financial literacy. We also talked about the importance of, our likeness being used on these college campuses. And we've exploited for years. And then it got louder. And then the best players at a young age, LeBron's, the Chris Pauls, these guys start talking about it with the platforms that they had. and then Governor Newsom, the first to do it in the state of California,
Right.
and then everybody else follow suit. So now it's going to be new narratives and things that they're going to have to continue to move the needle on. But I'm glad to see them getting paid because it's beyond deserving, and I don't know what the hell took so long. And we'll see where it goes from here.
Are you interested in, I know you're a businessman, a consummate one. Are you interested in ever getting in that space as an advisor, or do you advise young guys right now?
Yeah, I always talk to, young guys, my current active players, kids from my community. If they reach out, obviously I don't seek anyone, but if they reach out, I always give them, my perspective from, my real experiences and where I think it's headed. And I think that's important. But I think a lot of the new leaders, they get it. They're building their brands early. They're getting verified. They're getting active on social medias. They got a crazy following by the age of, 16, 17. They're already verified and they know their value. Before, the value was being, hidden from us for years. We didn't know we was popular as we were. We get on a national televised game. We didn't know that we spiked and moved the needle to a capacity that we did. We just said, damn, like the crowd was cheering for me. They must have heard of me somewhere or something, but we didn't know like what the ratings was, wasn't looking at the numbers like that. But now guys are looking at their ratings, they're looking at their interactions, they're looking at the numbers, and they know their value.
Facts. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. I got to talk about our third brother. I'm Butler, you Butler, and you got Jimmy Butler. Are you still as an assistant coach on the Heat?
Yes.
I got to ask you this question, man. We're going to go into barbershop talk now. When he decided to get the locks, were you consulted before, during, or after? He got locked up. Let me, bruh. I ain't trying to get you in no mess. I just had to ask if he called his brother like, yo, fam, you think they're going to clown me?
No, it's so crazy because I saw it pulling up. I heard, I saw he was trending on social media. My kids were like, Jimmy got hair. And it didn't dawn on me. It didn't dawn on me. I was like, oh, yeah, he got twisties or whatever.
Right.
I went to the arena and I passed him. He was just leaving and working out. So I was like, oh, you got like hair, like a lot of hair.
Right.
But shit, it looked good on him, man. And I think he's creating a trend because that's another thing. Like back in the 80s, 90s, like people wouldn't, they're like, hey man, you gotta grow it. But he created a trend. I've seen more and more people doing it just because of the strength of him rocking it and rocking it confidently, and it looked good on him.
Yo, man, he on his Fetty Wap. He bringing Fetty Wap to the game. Hey, we love it. It's not a problem. Caron, let us know when this book drops, and why do you hope people's children and just the world in general pick up Shot Clock?
Yeah, September 6th, it's dropping, Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon. I hope a lot of people just, get engaged with Shot Clock because, me and Justin Reynolds took our time strategically and made this a reality. And one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to inspire, we wanted to, speak on hope, we wanted to speak on belief, we wanted to talk about love, we wanted to talk about losses, we wanted to talk about trauma, how you get through trauma. And it's nothing like that on the bookshelves right now for kids. And I think it's extremely important. It isn't our reality, but it is realities. And I think that, people can really just take a lot of life lessons and, get better from it and, inspire a lot of people. So that's what the whole narrative was all about. And hopefully everyone's impacted by it that reads it.
Big time, man. We appreciate everything you do, brother. Thank you for the time, and God bless, man. Much respect.
Likewise.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Hey, yo.